So we were talking about this a little bit pregame, so I think not a lot to go over, but for anybody that's just joining us now in this version of our OBS streams, Cam's Maeoni list is really looks to be focused on strengthen. It looks to be focused on the Mind Fog Owl to help get the snake through.
Yeah, he's got lots of sneaky damage.
Yeah.
Because obviously Mind Fog Owl, traditionally one of the difficult units to block in the game.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna put the fallen Chaosmonkee's fallen potentially a little on its heels because
right, it's gonna be more of a race.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think favors the James deck, unfortunately for Cam, but I could be wrong. Like it's very possible that he just gets in for 4 enough times that he kills the James, but
yeah.
Because the way that I foresee most of these turns playing out is Cam makes Mind Fog and some other men, and then attacks so the Mind Fog is unblockable with some pump, which is explosive growth, exhortation, strengthen.
Mm-hmm.
So you get through for like 4 or 5, but then that's going to leave the door open for like it won't happen right away in the round. They'll take their actions or whatever, and they'll try to go last.
Right.
But ultimately, the Fallen are just going to make a couple guys.
Mm-hmm.
And after the Owl gets in for its damage, it's very vulnerable to just attack from a couple Fallen. So the number of Fallen will increase, and the number of Owls will stay.
I was thinking about this and whether it's with Maeoni or with a different Phoenixborn, but like Frostback Bear, Mindfog Owl, and then Regress, and potentially Dark Presence might all be a deck, right? Like where
right. I mean, you don't have to go that deep, probably.
Sure. I'm just thinking like
that's like a version of one of the decks I watched in the IL was just like, here's this bear that you can't block, so you also can't block this 2/2.
Right.
And that's how this deck works too, because he has the Confusion Spores.
Mm-hmm.
So he makes one of his guys unblockable. All his owls are unblockable.
Right. Yep, that's true. And I wonder if it's like a potential, because Owl is not super expensive to cast. I mean, it's 2 charm dice, which is, I mean, going deep in charm is sometimes a scary prospect when you really talk about charm as a whole right now. But it might be possible to play like Gates Thrown Open into double Mindfog Owl. And I don't think you could double Bear, right? Because that's 6 and 10 with the gates. That makes 11. So you couldn't double Bear, double Mindfog Owl, but you could double Mindfog Owl and do, any number of other things.
Right, and like that's like the magical Christmas Land version, right? Like where it's like, oh, you definitely cannot block this owl, right? Most of the time, I think if you just have like 2 units.
Yeah.
And an owl, you can just attack with 3 units and the owl's unblockable.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? Like imagine a board state like this where you have 2 summons, I have 2 summons, one of them is an owl, and then I play a Swift Messenger on your turn and attack.
Sure.
Like, you just can't block the owl.
Right.
I have more guys than you.
Right. That's true. Because you can't. Yeah. Like, absolutely.
There's just many, many ways to do that, and obviously you want that to happen. You can't like have just that. You need like some amount of stuff, but the amount of work you need to put in to make Owl unblockable is not very much.
No, and you're right. It may not be necessary to have to play for charm to and gates to do that. It just seems interesting that you could potentially do that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of board states that like bear plus owl makes for really bad blocks for your opponent. Like,
Sure.
Like let's say I have like turtle and a 1/1 or whatever, and you have bear and owl. Well, you can attack that owl into my turtle because my turtle has to block the bear then, and then my 1/1 would have to block the owl for it to be blockable.
Right.
Like, and it just even little interactions like that get you a long ways with owl. Wow. The old 7 basics from...
That's a lot of basics from Chaosmonkee. If there's a way to lose playing Fallen, it's 7 basics.
Lucky number 7.
Although, if any deck can come out of a 7 basic rollout, it's Fallen. Chaosmonkee. What kind of madness is this?
Yeah,
that's very true. Very, very true. So
yeah, it's not just that he rolled 7 basics; it's that all 6 of his ceremonial dice are basics.
The odds are not in your favor there. Like, if this was the Hunger Games, Chaosmonkee just got eliminated. Sorry. But it's not the Hunger Games. It's Ashes, so he's got a chance.
He's gonna
demoted. What's going on here? He's having some interaction trouble, maybe.
I thought he was just salty about the dice.
Yeah, I think he's got to reload his deck potentially. I had a problem with this board playing just a casual game with Matt Bowers the other night, and it was a situation where we had to ultimately reload the whole board, the whole table. Like, there's something in this save that was goofy, and because he was like he started playing cards, and all I could see was the card backs. I couldn't see the card faces at all. And then he had a situation where he couldn't interact with any of the stuff. Seems to be the very similar thing. If we need to reload the table, we will. That's just the way these things go. Tabletop Simulator is far from infallible.
Yeah. Tabletop Simulator works like 80% on a good day.
Yeah. So
we'll see.
Uh-huh.
It's not the end of the world. We can load the other table too for them if it gets to that point.
Yeah. Well, it looks like he's interacting now, so it's just a question of what's going to happen. So I guess just ignore these dice up at the top of the screen for anybody watching. These are bugged out and they can't interact with them. So we'll just leave that alone for now and see what happens. Looks like Cam is going to have, or Chaosmonkee is going to have choice here.
You think?
Well, you never know. I mean, like...
It is a non-zero chance that he could have rolled 8 or more.
That's right. I don't think I've ever seen that happen, but it could happen. So, does Chaosmonkee have... Or not Chaosmonkee, Cam have a Sympathy Pain in his list?
A Sympathy Pain?
Or not Sympathy Pain. Golden Veil. Yep, he's got a 1 of Golden Veil.
He has a single Golden Veil.
So I would assume that's a first 5.
I'm not sure it's a first 5 in this matchup. Let's see what...
Yeah, it's probably true, because you don't have, like, the... I mean, you could expect Festers, I guess, for the Snake.
We have deck lists, though. There's no Festers.
That's true.
Like, the only thing that... Literally the only targeted ability...
He has Meteor.
Is Anchornaut.
But Meteor, you can't Golden Veil a Meteor. So yeah, Anchornaut's the only thing he'd be protecting. So he may not have first 5 the Golden Veil here.
I hope he didn't first 5 a Golden Veil. That would put him essentially 4v5.
True.
So he played Snake. Big surprise.
Yeah.
That's the Maeoni loyalty card.
Yep.
That's my expert analysis.
you are a pure expert here. So Snake is a pretty interesting. So Chaosmonkee's turn is up here. I would expect we'll see a large amount of meditation, but we're going to get...
It looks like an open memories. Yep.
Yeah. That's going to get second Fallen book online.
He's going to get the other book. This is what he did against me, too. He only went to 2 books in round 1 against me.
Yeah.
Which honestly, like, most of the time, 2 books is good enough.
Yeah, I that's one thing that I would like to spend some time testing on a Fallen deck is whether or not you can live on 2 books. Um,
Well, 3 books is obviously better.
well, I know
It's just
yeah. I understand it's
like,
obviously
is the
better.
work worth it? Right. That's the question.
Right, that's what I'm getting at. Is like I would like to see games like I'd like to see when like a pattern of games played. I'd like to test a pattern of games played with Fallen where I'm actively pursuing 3 books on board as quick as possible versus actively pursuing 2. All right, so we lose a Shepherd, we lose a Vengeance, and we lose a Meteor. Vengeance a big hit here. Meteor probably less so, but not completely irrelevant against Snake.
Meteor and Vengeance are essentially the same card in his deck.
Yeah.
Like, the Vengeance has the potential to get in for a bunch of damage, but mostly when I play them, it's just like clear the exhausted ones.
Right.
Is the mode. So it is kind of significant that he hit 2 of the board sweepers. There's the single Golden Veil.
Yep. So we know for sure lost a call to Call of the Realms and a Golden Veil. So we now know the Golden Veil was not a first 5 card, which is a good call. And
Call Upon the Realms, probably not a great card in this matchup. I think he's pretty free to meditate.
There's the Gilder book.
Yep. No surprise there.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a long game like what we saw between Leo and Maeoni in the AIL final between Matt and Brian. That was a long game. I like the one of Psychic Vampire here.
So this is kind of interesting. There's not a lot of interaction in Cam's deck either.
Right.
Like just kill spells or whatever. But it would be an interesting decision to kill the like frog the Psychic Vampire now.
You'd lose a card
before he has the book
though.
down.
So are you willing to give up a card in your first 5 to prevent?
Right. That's I think most of the time not, but it's definitely something to think about. That looked like Ceremonial dice power to get back Risen Horde.
Nope, it was James Power. James Power.
Oh, okay.
Life, get back Risen Horde. Very similar to that, only you're getting it from the deck instead of the discard pile. So that's pretty solid. So he's gonna bring the snake out. I think this is.
He's hovering over the frog there, like.
Well, because he needs the frog to play the snake. The snake is a charm power and nature power, natural power.
Oh, it's a power both.
Yeah.
I guess I had that mixed up. Okay.
So I think the debate is whether you're willing to let the Fallen book come online or not. But he's still.
So that's just Mindfuck all.
Yep.
So there's the Fallen book. Now he's going to try to deploy his hand before killing the vampire because he doesn't want to discard.
Yeah, you're definitely going to give him 2 Fallen off of that exchange. But
it's possible he could play both cards in his hand right now. It's unlikely. It looks like this is going to be that snake summon.
Yeah, because you're going to want to start getting the statuses on the snake, right? That's the.
Yeah, I guess that's another thing to consider is that he doesn't want to kill the psychic until snake is in play to get the power on the snake.
So what I would have probably done is I would have probably gone ahead and last turn played the snake. This turn played. Oh, he's going to root armor the snake. That's neat. It's neat, but it does nothing against Fallen. It does stuff against the rest of his deck, but the Fallen has unpreventable damage. So,
but it does increase the life total of the snake.
Yep.
The snake has more life than like 2 allies dying worth.
Right.
The snake has recover 3, so like it's very possible that 1 extra point of life is important, but I'm not sure that I like the root armor in the opener myself because I'm looking again at the deck here. I guess it prevents. Does Final Cry go to units?
Final Cry does not. Sympathy Pain can, but Final Cry cannot.
So it's good against Meteor.
Yep.
It's good against like random combat with Psychic Vampire.
Right.
It's good against Anchornaut. Maybe it's okay.
I think the only thing it's not good against is the Fallen itself. But that's a big component of Chaosmonkee's deck. But here's okay. He was going to drop a Grave Knight. Looks like he's going Immortal Commander first as a side. Did he pass main? Because that's a side action. What did we get for a main action? Oh, Fallen Book. That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was like, what did I miss here?
That's why he couldn't play the Grave Knight, because he played the Fallen Book already.
Right. So he should have.
Yeah, I don't hate the Root Armor. I think that there's going to be enough sources that it's just good on the snake, I guess.
Well, I think at this point you got to play your last card from hand, whatever that is. I'm not
assuming that it's playable. So his first 5 so far has been book, Root Armor.
Right, and so
that puts him on
either a Nature's Wrath or an Ice Trap. And I think he was thinking Nature's Wrath. I'm guessing that's what that last card is, but Nature's Wrath's in a funky place with that Psychic Vampire. Like I think,
yeah, he definitely wants to get, if it's a Nature's Wrath, I think it could also be like an Explosive Growth or something. Just like go real big.
Yeah, that's possible.
Maybe not. I don't know. Does she have a 4 spell board?
Maeoni,
a 5 spell board. So
5, yeah.
So it could be any of these. Like, it could be Confusion Spores. It could be
it's Hammer Knight.
Strengthen. Oh, Hammer Knight. Okay,
we got
that's
our
fine.
Answer. Yep. So I like Hammer Knight here. Alert unit.
Just a big dude. Like, this is one of the ways that you and alert specifically is one of the ways that you fight the Fallen. Because they have to throw so many Fallen into your knights.
Right.
And if it's alert, it just kills them anyway. Like,
so I think
though as I found out when I played this match, you like there's times where you just shouldn't counter. You should just like leave them. They're exhausted.
Absolutely.
But
yeah, you definitely have to make that call. Like, what is best in your combat scenario? So he meditates again. He's just trying to get the Fallen.
We knew he was going to meditate a ton because he rolled 7 basics. So
he's just getting Fallen online here. So he's going to spend 2 dice for the Risen Horde. I like this because this is essentially, if the Horde gets killed, it's just 2 Fallen. With
the Immortal Commander in play, it's really dangerous to kill the Risen Horde.
It is. Yeah. And that last,
because now we're in this weird place where, like, neither of them can attack very well.
Yeah, it's going to turn into this. Like, somebody's going to have to break serve. Sorry, I'm trying to look at a deck list and it's zooming the. Why is it doing that?
It's this table, dude. The other table doesn't do it.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I was just trying to look at Chaosmonkee's deck list because it's on a different page, and I'm just trying to look what he's got that would have. We know he has a Grave Knight in hand. I guess that was one of his other cards. He just didn't play it. He can still cast a Grave Knight here, and that's probably pretty good to cast a Grave Knight here.
Yeah, most likely because all that Cam is going to do is one of his summons. Can you do both summons?
Yes. So
there's only the one nature, right?
Yeah, he can do both. He has to meditate for the Mind Fog Owl.
The charm, yeah.
Yeah, and the Mind Fog Owl doesn't feel great here.
It's still a 2/2. Like, it's fine, right? Like, just because it's not going to get through unblocked, like its most powerful mode, it's still a 2/2 that he gets to put on the board.
All right, so there's the Grave Knight.
Yep.
So I think
now he has to. He needs to make Gilder now. I think, or Owl.
He's going to command strike the Grave Knight with Maeoni through the Hammer Knight.
Okay, that's good too.
Yep, I think that's fine. I think that's a fine exchange. The Snake gets a counter. Hopefully, we get the counter on the Snake. If we don't see Cam do that here shortly, I'll make note of it.
Man, if you're not windmill slamming counters on your Snake, why are you even playing it? Like, you should be so excited.
We just try to keep the game state active and accurate for everybody.
There's no prizes in this event, so
no.
When we get prizes, we'll have to figure out a structure for missed triggers, but
So the interesting thing could have been here, he could have actually, instead of command striking, and I don't know if this is better or not, but this is something to consider, would have been to play the Gilder line, ping the Psychic Vampire, get your snake counter, have a Gilder that can defend the attack from the Grave Knight, from the Grave Knight. You only suffer 1 damage in that scenario, and you still get a Mirror Spirit. And so then you would have 4 units to...
You still get a Mind Fog, you mean?
A Mind Fog Owl, yeah, sorry, not a Mirror Spirit, a Mind Fog Owl. So you would have...
I think this is better because it answers the Grave Knight so cleanly. The other way, you still have to attack the Grave Knight, essentially.
Sure. I don't disagree with that, although Hammer Knight could attack the Grave Knight and then ping away Fallen.
The Hammer Knight's going to get Phoenix Born blocked, regardless of what it attacks, I assume. Because of that ability.
Sure.
So Gilder kills a Fallen.
Yep.
And he sits there with his little mouse armor.
Mm-hmm.
The hell is a Gilder?
It's a mouse.
They safeguard a power beyond any of us.
That's his flavor text, yeah.
Yeah. I was reading flavor text in the other commentary because the flavor text on Shadowhound is something like, when I made this, I threw up, so I made more. Like, he's like a little mouse with a paintbrush.
So, what are we doing with the? Oh, okay. He's just letting the vampires and getting 3 on the snake. Got it. Okay.
You just chump block the vampire.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think you're safe right now if you're Cam to Hammer Knight attack into the Risen Horde or into the Immortal Commander, but you're right that so Snake's just going to attack the Immortal Commander here. I think that's a smart play to force the block from James. Yep, so there's the block from James, go down to 15. So now, like, if... yeah, so here's the side action, going to attack for 4. Hammer Knight can alert block a Fallen. Yep, and take 2. Really interesting. Okay. Hopefully he remembers the snake counter, because he did kill a unit here. Yep, there's the counter. Okay.
And the should be some damage on that.
Should be 2 damage on the knight.
I think they're just shortcutting because it's going to recover.
Yeah, it's interesting, though. He should have probably killed the Immortal Commander.
He did. He attacked the Immortal Commander.
No, he attacked James.
Oh, never mind. Whatever.
Yeah.
His deck is like a racing deck, so getting that 3 damage is fine, I think.
Yep. Oh, he did attack the commander. So what happened here? Where'd the...
I don't know.
If he attacked the commander...
When there should have been an overkill or whatever that ability is, ping.
Hammer Knight has Aftershock, so there should have been a unit damage. He took 3 from the snake, so he bet 16. How did he get to 12? Should have been 15 with 15 with unit damage, or with James power, right? And then I don't understand how ultimately how the Immortal Commander died here. And how we have 12 life on James. I don't know what happened there. Yeah. The overkill doesn't trigger, or the aftershock.
He's putting the life back.
Okay. Yeah. That makes a lot more sense. I'm like,
yeah.
But there should still be an aftershock kill between the Psychic Vampire and the Horde too.
Okay, it was just a misunderstanding about where the damage went. So
yeah, I guess he chose. I mean, I'm not going to correct the Hammer Knight because it's not a force aftershock. So if Cam chose not to aftershock here, that's maybe he just didn't want to give him the tokens on the Fallen. So I'm not gonna say anything on that particular play because that's a May. The Snake is not a May. Like you have to execute the Snake. So
right. I don't know if we have anything about this in the current rules set, but going to the next tournament, we can just like write a little blurb about rules in game state.
Yeah, I mean, it should be the responsibility of any watchers to correct game state errors.
Well, what they should actually do is like we should have you, me, or Carl.
Yeah, well, we are
or a number of people that we appoint available to like if you see an error that needs to be corrected, you say, "Hey, stop, guys!" Like,
yeah,
get one of them to fix it because that's how.
Yeah,
it would be handled in a real event. If you were spectating, you should get a judge. You shouldn't.
Well, since we're both here, it functions that way.
Right, this is our tournament.
Yeah, and it is in the rules.
Do whatever I want.
And there is in the rules for rule disputes to reach out to you.
I'll tell them they have to play Swift Messenger.
I don't think you can do that. That's overstepping your bounds as a judge. But here's a Gilder to ping a Fallen. Doing a nice job of handling these Fallen so far. Definitely going to get the Mind Fog Owl this turn. Be curious to see what the loses a Strengthen, loses an Explosive Growth. Heavy Meditation, loses the Ice Trap.
I don't think any of that matters very much.
No, I don't think so either. I just wonder why he needed to go that deep. There's got to be something in his hand. Would we have another Hammer Knight?
One thing to consider is that like having the Frog has a couple advantages for him, right? Like, first off, Frog power is great.
Mm-hmm.
Just straight up. Secondly, he has given himself the opportunity to resummon Snake if the Snake dies for whatever reason.
Sure.
He also has I guess Hammer Knight's the only
second Mind Fog Owl
other power, right?
Yep.
That's probably good.
That seems pretty good. Seems like a good way to get around the mess. The mess of Fallen. We still haven't seen the Nature's Wrath.
Well, yeah, he didn't first 5 in it. There's only one, so...
Right. It's still potentially in his pile.
I also am not convinced it's very good. Like...
So where I think it's good is if you can kill the Risen Horde and the Psychic Vampire and essentially clog James's board up as he summons more Fallen. Because he's going to want to put an Immortal Commander out here, so this is going to be 5th unit. He's only got room for 2 more Fallen on the board right now.
Right, and right now he actually can't make any.
Right, so he's going to bring back the Grave Knight.
He doesn't have any counters.
I'm not sure I like the recur Grave Knight call here from Chaos, and the reason why is because you've just got a Snake online that can command strike it to death as soon as it's played. Like, your opponent's going to spend 2 dice all day just to kill the Grave Knight, and you spent 3 dice for that tempo play. I don't think you're actually winning that exchange when you do that. Maybe you are.
Yeah, he spent 4 dice for this.
Right, so like you're really getting blown out by just the command strike here.
Yeah, it just... I mean... I guess going wider is better, but one thing to consider is that like we were talking about, he doesn't have any counters on his Fallen books. This at least like kind of forces the kill of the Grave Knight that way, and that'll put counters on the book.
Charm the Fallen. That's interesting.
Did he spend a?
He spent a
ceremonial.
Ceremonial Yeah, he gets the charm power from the Mind
Okay,
Fog Owl with
yeah.
his focus. Yep. I forgot about the focus effect on the Mind Fog. So he's still on Mind Fog plan, letting the Grave Knight come in. I guess Gilder just flat blocks the Grave Knight. You take 1 damage to let that happen. This is a side action. Oh yeah. There's the command strike. He's not even going to let it happen. Yep. So totally fine. Good overall.
Right. It just kind of like puts the Chaosmonkee in the position that now he can make Fallen.
Right.
Like what his deck wants to do. Before, there was no pressure on Cam at all to kill any of the units in play. Like,
yeah,
he just doesn't care about him. Like, he's gonna try to get his unblockable damage through. So
right.
Because right now, like, Chaosmonkee has no.
There goes 3rd Fallen book for the Meditate.
That's kind of rough, but like we were talking about, 2 Fallen book is probably fine. And right now, like, I guess he has space for the 3rd one, but
as soon as
it really makes that big of a difference.
Yeah, as soon as he drops Immortal Commander, he doesn't. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to. He's going to make the 2 Fallen here, and that makes sense because, as you're looking at the board state right now, he's going to make another Mind Fog Owl. So being wider than the Maeoni player here, being wider than Cam, is important because you need to be able to block the Mind Fog Owl.
You need to play around the possibility of the Exhortation attack.
Yeah, that's for sure. Because that would get you, right?
Right, because Exhortation gives +7 off the.
So there's the Fallen down, charges the snake. It's actually going to give +8, so it would do 10 damage on the Mind Fog.
Now, if he did the side action to kill the Fallen, then he doesn't.
Right. So there's
some widows. He can't play the Exhortation this turn. So like the Exhortation, like this is what happens with Snake, right? Is like now the Snake's actual power doesn't matter. It's just infinity, right? So, like he's either going to be able to use infinity on his opponent or he's not. This is just like the AIL match. Like
there's a Nature's Wrath.
Well, now it's even more infinity.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think he must have an Exhortation in hand because it seems like he's really playing for it.
Yeah.
Where, like you were talking about how he's going to be wider than him now.
Right. So he's going to make 2 Fallen, and he's going to get 2 Fallen tokens.
Right, he's going to get 2 in play now, and then on his turn he can make 2 more. Which is currently enough that he'd be able to block Mind Fog.
He's still cleaning up that board. What's happening here? Those are the. Okay, so he's cleaned that up.
I think he'll get to it. There we go.
Yeah. Wait. Not sure I know.
I'm not sure what we're doing. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so we did get there.
Now we got it. We got there. So
so this is just Immortal Commander to Fallen. You make 2 more Fallen, you have 5 units. Right? That's what you're gonna see now. So I think now you have to use because the Fallen's gonna go down to 2 counters on it. Side action, the Immortal Commander.
It seems fine to play Immortal Commander here. There's it's just like free block kind of.
Yeah, it's good, no doubt.
Because we know that like the command strike's already been fired off, and there's just like actual nothing else in Cam's deck that kills it.
There's
the Exhortation.
What's interesting though is he can line it all up, right? Like there's.
Well, let's see what happens. he's going to send the entire team.
Yep.
Which is going to... The thing that's good for Cam here is that essentially he's just going to wipe. This is just another board wipe.
Right.
Because it's a forced block. Because what is the thing now? 15. So the Owl's attacking for 15. So you have to put a guy on every guy, and so 3 of them are going to die. The Hammer Knight's going to trigger.
But the root armor doesn't prevent the fallen damage, so there will be 1 damage on the snake.
So I think what they're saying is that they're going to do. He wants to do the Hammer Knight battle first, so the aftershock can ping that fallen and stop it from before it would fight. Now I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, I don't either.
Oh, he's just killing them all.
Okay.
He didn't need to block with all of them. He could have saved one. Did he double block somewhere?
My guess is the overkill or the aftershock from the Hammer Knight hit.
Oh, killed the untapped one.
Yeah, so there should be 1 damage on Hammer Knight, 1 damage on Mindfog Owl, 1 damage on Snake, if that's what happened. I can't tell for sure.
Well, we'll see how it ends up. It seems like they're still...
I think this is an incorrect rule, but I would need to ping Skak on this, because I think even if you remove the blocker, it was still blocked, and so you don't get to do damage to the Phoenixborn face. I think he thinks that...
Right.
I think he thinks he just went lethal there.
Oh, no. What I was saying is that it saves the damage from the thing, but it looks like he... the only explanation for this board state is that he used the aftershock on the one that didn't block.
Correct, but then the Immortal Commander should still be up because the Gilder didn't kill the Immortal Commander.
Right. I don't know. Let's see where they end up.
I'm just asking what happened.
Oh, sweet.
So we're going to try to correct this, because I think...
Are you sure it doesn't work that way, or does it work that way? Quick says it does too.
Oh, yeah, okay. Because it was targeting... Because attack targeted PB. Yeah, that's what it is. Because the attack targeted the PB. If they would have attacked a unit, yeah. Because the attack targeted the PB, as soon as you remove the blocker from in front of the PB.
So that being the case, the correct block should have been fallen here, like guy here, guy here, guy here, double block. Oh, it doesn't matter though, because one of the 2 giant guys would be only blocked by 1 dude. So you'd have to block one of the giant guys with Commander, and then the other guy you'd have to double block, and then you would survive with nothing in play.
Correct.
Because
can you double block? I don't think you can double block. That's a good question now.
Can you not double block?
I don't think so. Let me verify that though.
I mean, if you can't double block, then he's dead for sure.
I'm just gonna go find the rules document here. I have it somewhere. Keep finding what's going on, guys.
Yes.
Hello.
If that wasn't clear, yeah, Aftershock killed the.
Yeah, I just didn't realize.
And the Exhortation had 17 damage from 2.
Right, you're just attacking with 2 infinities.
Yeah, I knew what was happening there. I just what got me was I just didn't put together you were attacking the PB, and once I said it, I was like, wait a minute, and then I'm like, oh yeah, no, you're right, because you cleared the way for the PB is still the valid target for the attack. So,
And with the Exhortation, it was either the owl or the snake got through.
So we were talking about that, and one of the things that we're trying to figure out.
Can you block with more than 1 fallen?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the rules
on the same guy.
You can only block with 1 unit.
Okay, then you just had it.
Yeah, then you had it locked up with the Exhortation. So, yeah, because that was the only thing we were talking about. If you could double block, then you could put 2 Fallen on the Mind Fog Owl, put the Immortal Commander on the Snake, and then it would block the whole thing.
This was a weird game.
Yeah.
It was
I did
interesting.
all sorts of stuff and trying to do in weird orders, trying to figure out like. This matchup is terrible for Fallen. It's like absolutely the worst. There's nothing.
Yeah.
See, going into
I don't
it,
know the strategy.
I thought you might be advantaged actually, but I think you made a pretty grave mistake going back for the Grave Knight, just because it's so command strikeable and like you spent 4 dice for him to spend 2 to remove it. But I think I don't know what you had in hand, so maybe that was your only out. But you know, at the end of the day, I was just like, I think that line was particularly like
my goal with that was actually just to make sure that he would command strike it because I wanted my commander to survive because otherwise the commander gets struck.
Yeah,
that was my thinking on that one.
But I think
the only way I was going to do anything is if I had a big group.
But playing 1 die commander to get a command struck, like he's spending more dice than you to do that, and then you could still get your Grave Knight back and do that play. But now the command strike's out of play. So, you know, I that was the only thing that I saw that was like, wow.
As it turned out, like
it probably didn't matter, but
it would have turned out the same because you still would have been in this situation where he attacks with 4 guys and one of the
Grave Knight would have been alive.
Has a 1 toughness guy on it.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing I could see differently is then if the Grave Knight could have forced the Gilder into a block scenario. Because you could have forced one of his units to block by attacking with the Knight.
But even then, he attacks with 3 guys, and he only has 4 guys to block with it. It's just really bad.
Yeah,
I don't know how you stop the eventual like getting run over by the snake with the Fallen.
Well, you have to.
I have no ability to take the snake off the board.
Yeah,
the snake is there just to make the Mind Fog Owls that much better.
Right. Absolutely.
Because if you exhortation them and there's not enough blockers, they get in for free.
Right.
Yep.
Unblockable.
Yep.
Right.
Right. Even this situation was like essentially unblockable, right? Like, and
I think you had to get a point of damage on the snake somehow, and then
I was trying to get rid of all the Fallen because the Fallen would negate the root armor.
Right. Yeah, because even if you just take a single Fallen into Snake and he blocks PB blocks, and then you take a second Fallen into Snake, you get a single point of damage, but I don't think you had any Festers in your list, right?
No Festers.
Yeah, and see, I think Fester is about the only way you can kill a snake.
You were just never going to kill a snake. Like there was never going to be a board state where you had 4 extra Fallen to attack it, like 5, I guess, because he has a Maeoni block too.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, but Fallen is really good against root armor.
6 of them with the root armor on it.
Yeah,
doesn't prevent it, but it does give it the extra life. Like,
it
was rough. That was an interesting game, though. It takes a lot
to kill a root armor snake.
Yeah,
it takes
for sure.
It takes a lot to work around that. That's for sure. You got to have a kill spell, and the fact that he had a single Golden Veil and it went down early, like you would have been in a pretty good shape if you had a single kill spell. But like when I looked at your list, I'm like, I don't think there's any way. I mean, the Meteor would kind of get there, like if you were ever able to set up your plays the way you wanted to. But Maeoni's got enough control tools between Gilder and her Command Strike that you're probably not going to get to set up the way you would want to in most cases. I thought your open was pretty solid. We were talking about whether or not it was worth losing the single card. In this case, it would have been a Hammer Knight to the Psychic Vampire when the Fallen books weren't online yet, but ultimately that seemed to not matter. So,
for me, that's a huge win.
For the Vampire, I'd rather just take the 2 damage until I can kill it without I killed it without worry because I had 2 Anchornauts. I'm like,
yeah,
for sure. That would have been. I was kind of like, oh, okay, but the Gilder.
I was willing even to take 3 at times. Like,
yeah, and I like the list, Cam. I think it's cool. I think both lists are pretty interesting. I think you still have to have a little bit of control on the Fallen side to deal with big threats. Otherwise, I think you risk not being able to race them as well. Although Immortal Commander helps with that a ton.
It didn't seem like, like you said, like it, just like not a good matchup.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
this is Matt's deck that he played on week 7 or week 6 or something.
Yeah. I think if you don't have, I mean, the one of Nature's Wrath was pretty well timed there too, Cam.
That was like the Yu-Gi-Oh moment.
Yeah.
Part of the cards just gave it to me.
Yeah, I was like, all right, yeah, you got the Nature's Wrath, that one of that's pretty solid. So, but yeah, no, you guys played well. That was the only thing I saw when I was watching it. Chaos was just whether to bring that Grey Knight back in that sequence versus like baiting the command strike on the Immortal Commander instead, and then potentially being able to use the Grave Knight as a tool to kill a unit and force the Gilder to block, and then you have a better chance of blocking him if you can make another set of Fallen still in that scenario. And I don't know if you had enough time for all of that, but I'd have to go back and watch the game again and see if that was even possible. But
drawing the Nature's Wrath made it almost 0% chance that you could win.
Yeah, I think that Nature's Wrath was really the end of the game for you. But yeah, it was cool to see Exhortation and Mindfog Owl. Those are both really neat cards, I think. And obviously this is like living the dream with it, right? But you just have to decks are going to have ways to kill Snake, and we've just seen that. We saw that in the AIL final as well too, right? Where like Matt Snake just got huge and nobody had a way to kill Snake, and it just seems like people aren't playing removal things right now for whatever reason. Maybe.
Well, I mean, this is the first deck. Your deck doesn't change tournament to exist.
Yeah. But I definitely think we're going to see a pretty big increase in removal spells as we move forward, just because things like this are exactly that. They're just they're very, very good at dealing with problems like retargeted snakes.
I also think like exhaustion is a good answer.
I think exhaustion is essentially the same thing as removal, right? Like steady gazes are essentially the same thing. The game is too fast now for steady gaze to allow that thing to come back and be a problem for you. And plus, 2 rounds means you get to look at 15 cards before you have to deal with it, right? So, like that.
But you don't have that long, depending on your deck, because it still gets bigger even while exhausted.
Sure.
So if I have an Exhortation, sure, you've exhausted. I'm working with a 3 battlefield.
Yeah.
Eventually, I can still take the snake's damage.
Sure. I still think you have
that would be a tricky play too.
I just think it'd be hard to go wider than the snake or go wider than your opponent with a 3 battlefield to make the Mindfog Owl be unblockable. I think it's a lot easier to stamp in front of the owl at that point, as long as it's not a 1/1 for the
having the removal spell doesn't like win you the game against Snake. It just gives you a game against Snake. Like it gives you a chance instead of none.
Yep. That's the main thing. But yeah, otherwise I thought the game was great. I appreciate you letting us stream it. It's awesome to be able to get more of these games out there and let people see how some things are working. And obviously, like
more content is better.
Absolutely. And Maeoni Snake is, I mean, she's the hot ticket right now, right?
It's certainly flashy.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
It's exciting gameplay.
and depending on how everything falls for win-loss and stuff, there might be 2 in the top 8.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be a deck that makes top 8. Well, there'll be one for sure with Carl's. I don't see...
With Carl, yeah.
Yeah.
And it all depends on how the rest of the breakdown happens for me.
Yeah, I mean, right now, with not all the reporting in, so without all the reporting in, it's just ranking based on plays. You're currently sitting in 5th after this. So, but you got 6 points on Buckholtz, so that's pretty high up for the 3-2s. I don't know what's going to happen when you look at, like, obviously between Stefanos has still got to play. He's got 6 points right now. And then Brian B has still got to play at 5 points. Doctor's at 5 points. But they're going to get some points here just off of their tie breaks. So, yeah, I'll be curious to see how that works.
It'll be an interesting breakdown.
Yeah, it will. I think you're going to have 2, maybe 3 3-2 players make top 8. So we'll see how it works out. But yeah, it's definitely was a play-in match for I think both of you. So obviously a very important matchup. And I'll be curious to see if 2 snakes make top 8. They're very different, which is also interesting. They're different ways of approaching the problem.
They're not the same deck at all.
No. So the only thing that's the same on them is the Phoenixborn and the Snake, and the rest is pretty wildly different. So that's pretty awesome. But
I think we share Gilder.
Yeah,
right.
If you're
Which
not
is
playing
essentially like the second Maeoni.
It's a staple to Maeoni.
Yeah, I was gonna say it might as well have a Maeoni printed on the bottom.
Maeoni loyalty card.
Yeah, for sure. Gilder's great in other decks, but man, is it just love to be paired with Snake. That's no doubt. So, but yeah, no, I think that's awesome.
Gilder's probably one of my favorite units. I try to fit it in everything. It's unit guard, just
it's got a lot of value.
Yeah, it's a really efficient obviously it has color restrictions because you have to have the charm dice, but once it's down, it has to be one of the most efficient book activations because it's a frostbite and a guy.
Even if you're only using 1 charm die for just the Gilder,
right?
Throw in 1 or 2 amplifies for that cheeky play,
and
all of a sudden,
I just think it's a great card.
Yeah, it is a good card. It's another one of those really good, low cost, high opportunity cards for sure, regardless of the inheritance ability. But inheritance just loves its snakes. But yeah, I think that I'll be curious to see how the deck lists shift after this tournament is done, and we move into obviously time's going to completely change everything anyways. But I'll be curious to see what happens in terms of just the removal and control answers for big units, because it seems like that's what most of the competitive play up to this point has landed itself on is these board states where you end up with a massive
it's just
player and a big
right
snake.
It's just giant unblockable guys in a lot of the matchups.
Yeah. And
obviously you have a mid body and then a night body.
Yep. And then I think
that's a standard.
I think you obviously if removal becomes a thing, then Golden Veil is there, so there's still answers out there. It's not like it's a surefire guarantee.
It's also in color.
Yeah.
For Maeoni.
It is. So,
but it was in her deck, right? It has a picture of her on it.
Yeah.
And it has one of the best, whatever quotes at the bottom.
I haven't read it.
Oh, the flavor text?
Yeah.
The flavor text is amazing.
No.
Oh.
That's all it says. No.
That's funny. I haven't seen that. I'll pay attention to it the next time. That's awesome. So, well, I mean, either way, guys, I just thanks again for letting us, cover the game and commentate on it. And, obviously we'll get it put up on YouTube here in the next few days. And, for anybody that missed it, it'll be there, and